What's up, guys? Welcome to YouTube and welcome back to the show. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce our newest partner on the Pit to Pro podcast. We've decided to partner up with the Athlete Wellness Academy to deliver you guys the best in arm swing training. With their new Arm Swing Academy, you will receive video analysis, a ton of feedback, on court drills, and individualized workouts. AWA has worked extensively with the three of us at the Pit to Pro podcast, as well as the top university programs across the country. If that sounds like something you want to be a part of, click the link in the description of this video or our Instagram bio and get $10 off every month of your subscription. The Arm Swing Academy offers a 7-day free trial, which you can cancel at any time. And if you're not seeing progress after 1 month of joining the Academy, you'll be refunded. It's completely risk-free. So click the link in the description of this video or our Instagram bio and start your 7-day free trial today. Other than that, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And we're live.
Thanks, Kofi, for joining us.
Having
Hell yeah. A couple days ago, you said that you hate Drake. Can you expand upon that a little bit?
those are your words, and we're still not talking because of that. So yeah, after this, don't talk to me.
That's funny. No, that's not my first real question. My first real question is, what would you say to kids who might be thinking or might be told that their dreams are too big or too unrealistic?
I think what I would say is you just gotta keep on doing what you like. Life is about like the journey, not necessarily the destination. Destinations are cool, but you gotta spend your life doing something that you enjoy. So if that's chasing your dreams, you gotta love the chase. Can't just be about the goal. You gotta love the chase. So do something that, whatever your dream is, if you enjoy doing it for whatever reason, I'd say do it.
Did I see somewhere that you had a teacher or something or someone say that you'd never make it?
That's what I was gonna ask. I was gonna ask if that was purely for social media or if someone actually told you that.
Oh, that was 100% serious. Like I had a teacher, my grade 11 chemistry teacher. I would always just miss class for like real purposes for like, oh, I have like a term, I have provincials, you know what I mean? Oh, I have nationals. I'm sorry, I'm not here. And she's like, oh, well, like, you're not gonna be a pro athlete. And then she also said, like, you're not gonna be a singer. And well, here we are.
Did that kind of like fuel the fire a little bit? Like, did you know back then that that's what you wanted to do?
I knew that I was on a path to be probably a pro athlete, like a pro volleyball player back then, but the music thing, it just had no traction. Like the thing about music is like it's impossible until it's possible, and it happens super quick. So it's kind of just like a dream that you chase because you like chasing it until it becomes something that you can actually see yourself doing as like a job and like not even a job. It's not even really a job, but like something that can actually like support yourself with, you know what I mean?
That's a good point because I was just gonna say, like, do either of your jobs really feel like jobs?
No, no, no. This I would do for free, and music I would do for free. So at this point, I'm just a kid. No,
That's cool.
Where was that point, or is there a specific point where in your music career you were like, man, this is real now?
yeah. So in my second year, I got injured. I tore like a ligament in my thumb. So I was really at that point, like I had all this time to just kind of work on music. So I pissed off my roommate a little bit because I was in a dorm with like two people, turned it into a little studio. And then when he got pissed off, I moved into like the team room. But at UCLA, we had like a crazy team room. So I had it in there for a bit. So I'd always just be, making music. And then in my second year, but at this point, it's still a hobby. Second year is still a hobby, but um, because of in my first year, I should say, I like started getting, I guess, bigger on social media. Like ESPN started posting like my volleyball highlights and whatnot, and just playing in the US, like they really like pay attention to their athletes. So just off of that, I started getting like people listening to my music and positive feedback that they actually like it. So from there, it started to grow a little bit, but I would say in my second year, uh that's when it became like, oh, I could just do this full time because I dropped my song called Came Up. immediately started going crazy. It hit like 1 million views in like, I don't know, like a couple months. And then it just kept on going. And even till today, it's still going. But yeah, after that, a bunch of labels just came calling, and I'm like, oh, okay, I could either play a first year contract as a middle, which, we're all volleyball players. We know that's, it's not, you're not getting rich over there. Or I could do a first year music contract, which is like, I don't know, a god level middle contract. Yeah. So then it's like, I enjoy doing both equally. So it's like, let me figure out what I could do kind of more.
How did you make that decision at the time? I mean, there's obviously the money factor, which is a big factor. Um, but what was
Yeah.
kind of the criteria?
So I think, well, it was COVID. There was COVID. So if I went back, I just wasn't really a big fan of like the whole, playing with masks on and nobody's there type of thing. Um, and I definitely didn't want to be in LA for the pandemic. Like when it was first starting, it was pretty freaky. I'm in LA and like there's no food on the shelves, there's no toilet paper for some reason. So I was like, all right, let me just get back to Canada and see what's going on. So if I was gonna continue playing, I'd have to go back to UCLA. And I had another year of eligibility. But yeah, it was either that or I just continue full time with this record deal that I just signed. So I decided to just go with the record deal. And honestly, I think that was like me living every 21-year-old's dream. Like you're a signed record or recording artist. Like that's not every kid's dream, but like it is probably my dream, like at that point in my life.
And
Come
then yeah,
Sorry.
talk us through coming back to volleyball. Like when did you realize, like were you like, oh, I missed volleyball, or was there something missing in your life, or what happened there?
So I noticed pretty early in my not working out period, which was like 3 years of strict not working out. Um, I go pretty crazy if I don't work out. So I would go through phases where I'm like doing the most ridiculous workouts for no reason, no goal, but just because, this helps my mind be like at peace. And then in my fourth year not playing, like I guess last year, I was doing Muay Thai full time, like convinced I'm like, oh, I'm about to have my first fight. I'm watching like high level highlights and like I'm watching film like exactly how like we study volleyball players. I was watching like MMA fighters and kickboxers and Muay Thai fighters because I was going to do that. And then I was like, yeah, I'm in the best shape of my life now because I've just been doing Muay Thai twice a day, every day for a year. Maybe I should just go play volleyball because I'm already, kind of good at it. That's kind of where I was when I came back. And plus, like, there's a lot of things in the music industry that I really don't like, and those things don't exist in pro athletics.
Like what? Like what do you appreciate about the professional volleyball life or lifestyle?
I appreciate like hard work is like the number one currency, you know what I mean? In music, it sounds ridiculous to people that aren't in the industry, but like I've been in the industry for like a bunch of years, like deep in it, lived in LA, like did the whole songwriting circuit thing, producer circuit thing. It's almost like hard work isn't good. Like hard work, oh, this guy is trying too hard. He must not be sick.
Mm.
Whereas in volleyball or any sport, anything else in life, like that is, if you are 100% dedicated to something and you do this like fully, like this pursuit is going to reward you. So that's something that I appreciate a lot in volleyball.
That's cool, but that's also probably why you got noticed in the music industry in the first place, is because you worked so hard at your craft. So it's kind
Yeah,
of like almost like sad in a way.
there's definitely something to be said for like having a crazy work ethic in music, but what I'll say is like it's not as easy to be rewarded for having a great work ethic. Like
Mm.
in sports, if you work at something, you're going to get better at it. It's almost like almost 100% sure. If you're working towards the right thing, you are going to be better at it. In music, it's like, what's the right thing? Like I could write the best song. one of you can love it and one of you can be like, that's terrible. It's just super subjective, whereas volleyball and any sport is just completely objective and you have a goal, a clear goal that you can work towards. And it's not something that's always shifting under your feet.
Hmm, that's cool. Do your careers interfere with each other? Like if you're having a bad day musically or a bad day volleyball-wise, does that affect your performance or your outlook of your other career? Because conquering one career is hard, it's stressful, but conquering two and at the level you're at is incredible, probably unheard of.
I guess what I would say is like in my 4 years at UCLA, one thing that I learned from Spra, uh, I mean, I learned so many things from him. But one thing that I definitely came away with, not just volleyball related, is like how you frame things. So I always try to frame it like a privilege. So like even when I don't have good things going on over here, I always have something good going on there. And they both kind of play off each other like that. And it's also, it takes off pressure because I could just not be doing one thing and I would be absolutely fine. Which I guess doesn't sound that good, but that's that's really how I just see it in my head. It's like I'm it's a privilege for me to be doing both. So if one's not going so well, it really doesn't matter. Let's detach those emotions and continue working, you know?
What are some of your other favorite things that you learned from Spra?
Ooh, let me think.
Yeah,
Volleyball related?
could be anything. I like the framing thing. That's why I ask. And also, he's a legendary volleyball coach, recently retired. So,
I guess
Or
one,
promoted. I don't know
yeah.
which one it is.
yeah, true.
Um, well, one thing I appreciate about his coaching style is he like really is invested in not just coaching you as a volleyball player, which I think is important at the university level. He's like coaching you on how to be a man, like how to, and when I say that, I mean like how to take care of your responsibilities on and off the court, like in life, you know what I mean? So that's one thing that he really tried to hammer into us. And I think like I'm very grateful for that.
Hmm.
That's cool. I heard I was talking to my teammate from last year, Matt, and he was with the A team for the US this summer, and he was saying that Spra's main role on the team, even though he's the head coach, was like a mindset coach. And they had like a defensive coach, an offensive coach, a whatever, setting coach, and he almost didn't talk volleyball at all. He just helped guys with their mind. And I thought that was so cool that you're a head coach, but you almost don't even talk about volleyball. Your goal is to just make them as good of people or as good a version of themselves as they can be on the court.
Yeah. Yeah, he's so like he's forward thinking, very forward thinking. And he's always trying to look at what no one's doing and see if he can do something to get the edge.
Hmm.
Um, very, very well read. So he's always reading something and trying it, which I think is like amazing as a head coach, to try new things. Like it's amazing.
I wanna go back to this reframing thing. And do you experience that? Let's say for you, example, right now, you're working on your serve. That's
Mhm.
something that you're working on really hard. How do you reframe that and the ups and downs that come with coming back to a high level of volleyball and trying to get back to the serve that you know that you can produce, but it's not working at the moment? How do you reframe that into something positive and still perform every Saturday night to a really, really high level in one of the top leagues in the world?
Right. That's still something I'm trying to exactly figure out that reframe. But I'm basically seeing it as something that I can add to my game, and then like I think that the sky's kind of the limit for me, once I add that. So seeing it more as a positive instead of like, yo, I cannot serve, like seeing it as what it could be, what's the positive, and motivates me to work towards it every day. Like today, after weights, went in and tossed a bunch of balls and then, served a bunch of balls. You just got to get after it. So I think for me, the reframe, it's like taking every negative into an opportunity and then something that you can structure a plan, like a goal that you can structure a plan to get towards.
Hmm. I
if that
love
makes
that. Yeah. I think there's some science around kind of how motivation works, and maybe not motivation is the wrong word, but you need something to run towards and you also need something to run away from. And
sense.
it's pretty easy. I think we always create the thing to run away from, or a lot of the time we do when it's just fear. It's like, oh, what if I can't serve? I'm a bad server. What if this doesn't go well? Um, but it takes some conscious effort to create that future image of if things go well. And I think that's the most powerful kind of state to be in, because you know what either side looks like, and then you can run away from the fear and run towards the goal.
You know what I like to call that? And this thing has like a terrible rep, but like manifestation, one, it only works if you like do the work to actually get there. You know, you can't just like rub a crystal and be like, I'm gonna be a good servant. But like seeing the image of you, what you want to do, and then actually planning how you're gonna get there and working towards it every single day
Hmm.
and enjoying the work. Like it's not like I go today and just in the gym by myself and serve because I'm like, oh, my serve sucks. It's like, yo, this is my job. I live in the south of France. I live 2 steps from the beach, and all I have to do is, get better at serving. This is crazy. This is amazing. Life does not get better than this.
That's really cool. Will you ever be satisfied in either of your careers?
That's an interesting question. I'd like to say yeah. Uh, but I know that, once you usually get to a goal, usually more goals come up. But I think I'm gonna have to make a conscious effort to be satisfied because my goal isn't like I'm not one of those people that like their goal is to, I don't know, take over the world, be the biggest artist ever, be the highest paid volleyball player ever. That's not my goal. My goal is to do a bunch of things that I'm proud of and then be able to support a family. Those are my goals. So just remembering what the actual goals are in life as opposed to just in the endeavors, because I think all things in perspective and there's a cost to everything. So
What kind of costs or sacrifices have you had to make
for
to
either.
get to where you are now? Yeah, following your two dreams at once.
Well, I think one big cost and one big sacrifice that I had to make to pursue music in the way that I did, and am, is not play for 4 years. I don't think I would be anywhere near where I am in the music industry had I been playing. I wouldn't have been in the rooms that I was in, on some of the songs that I was on. Um, wouldn't have been on two, like Europe tours because we wouldn't have had any time. So that's a big sacrifice there. And then also like vice versa on the volleyball side, like to be here, I'm missing out on a lot of things. Like I have an album coming out. I'm not gonna be promoting it in the exact same way that I usually would. Usually you go into like a bunch of radio stations, you'll do a radio tour, you'll do a bunch of, interviews, but now I'm here in the middle of the season playing. And don't get me wrong, I'm very happy that I'm doing that. And I don't think it's actually gonna make the music suffer because I mean we get into like the social media and like the marketing of it, but like both things bring eyes to the music.
Hmm.
Hmm.
If it was making your music suffer and you had to make a choice right now, which one would you pick?
Ooh. I'm not gonna lie, right now, I'm really loving playing volleyball. It's very refreshing. I just spent 4 years over there, uh, working towards something that keeps changing. Whereas here, this doesn't change the sport. Even though like, like people like the sport evolves, it's still the same sport that it's always been. So the rules are always the same. It's like something like skills that you can build skills and then those skills are going to be useful and they're going to be useful. So I'm enjoying that. And I'm also enjoying like the structure to the schedule because in music, zero structure. Like which might sound nice because we're all people with structured schedules, but like you got to be up till like 6 a.m. in a studio session and don't get me wrong, it's fun, but then now you're flying across the world to like, I don't know. It's just like a crazy schedule. Whereas this is like there's actually some structure. You can kind of get a routine going, which I appreciate for now. But I don't think there'll ever be a time that I stop doing music. I think I can do music wherever I am. Like here in the south of France, I already made like 3 songs out here. So I don't think I'll ever stop.
It's in your blood now.
Yep.
Who was your inspiration to start making music?
Um, One of my coaches is actually crazy. One of my volleyball coaches, my assistant coach on my club team, his name is Brandon. He was making music, and uh I was always like, yo, like I can make music too. Like, you know what I mean? Because I was like classically trained in piano, know how to read and write music, played some guitar, but really I played piano and trombone, but that doesn't sound as cool. So like
Like,
I
doesn't it sound as cool to say, or doesn't it sound as cool musically?
honestly, you know what's crazy? This album, the first song in this album, I'm playing trombone on it. The first time ever.
That's
Not that you
cool.
can tell really, like, but yeah, like I always knew that I know how to put songs together. I know how to put music together. I know when something is like that shouldn't be there or not that shouldn't be there because it's all subjective. But like I know I speak the language of music fluently and I've always spoken that language. So when when I saw my coach, who I saw 3 times a day because or not, sorry, 3 times a week because we practice back then 3 times a week, making music, and he's already someone that I looked up to, still do. Um, I was like, yo, I can do this too. I got to do this. So started getting into it, and when I'm a nerd, so when I get into something, I'm like, I'm in it.
How many board games have you bought since you moved to the south of France?
I'm into board games now. It's a problem. I'm broke. I don't know, probably like 10 games.
I
Wow.
think that's a cool personality trait, though. Like for someone like you who has reached these two huge pinnacles of two separate careers, you almost have to be not crazy, but you got to be a little crazy. Like you have to dive head first to get to where you are in both.
Yeah, full head first. That's me. I just kind of go into everything. Like if I get interested in anything, I I'm 2 feet in, diving in like anything. I got into astronomy. I have like I don't, I'm ashamed to say how much I spent on this telescope, but like it's like electronic. You could see anything you want. You could see deep space objects. You just type in what you want to see on a remote and it just like it just turns to it, you know? Yeah, I get into I go fully. Actually, this summer I'm gonna have to show you that because it's crazy to look through it.
That's awesome.
Wow. What was the lowest point that you've experienced so far in your music career first?
In my music career, I'd say it's actually probably the thing that I grew up the most from. So let me think how to say this. Uh just kind of coming back to reality. I think when I was like early 20s, I lived in a bit of delusion of like I had great things going for me, but like I was just spending way too much money that wasn't actually coming in and realizing, oh, I'm actually at zero. Let me, let me rein it in, focus on what I need to focus on and build back. Um, that was the lowest point. And that happened, I'd say, I think 1 year after I got out of school. So that was a great learning experience for me. I think everyone kind of needs to go through that. I see my life as like two things. It's kind of like before that and after that.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I was in like a hole that I dug myself out of in like 8 months, and after that, just kept on going up. So ever since that, I've been great. And it's also something that is like, if I need to really reframe something, it's like, uh, you missed every single serve you've served in the last 7 games, but you will never be there. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I don't know if I explained that well.
Yeah, I get it. Were you just maybe swept up by the lifestyle and the environment around you?
Yeah, that's one thing about being an artist. It's very, very easy to get like lost in like everything is flex as hard as you can. Everything is like you have to act like you're the guy before you're the guy to be the guy. And even Drake said it like spends his like last dollar on getting like I don't know what it was, like a Bentley before he had Bentley money, all part of like curating the image. So you get lost in the space where it's like what's marketing and what's just me being a 20-year-old that really wants to spend all my money on a chain. You know what I mean? That's like something that's really hard to balance. And I'm because of that, I'm grateful that the music thing didn't go as far as I wanted it to go so early. Because right now, if it goes as far as I want it to go, I have a bit of a head on my shoulders, you know, like I understand what to do. Whereas back then, it's like, I don't know, you're just so young, you know, all you know is school. You come out of school, boom, here's $150,000. Good luck, you know, it's not good.
Hmm. So you probably have a ton of perspective when people get famous young and they just implode. You got a
Yeah.
little taste of that, and luckily you didn't have enough
Yeah.
stuff to play with where it could go that bad.
Yeah, I played with everything that I had to play with and then some and then some. And then and then I had to work my way back from the and then some. Luckily, I like was able to do that very quickly and continue on. And now I'm chilling.
Hmm.
But yeah, we have this thing in the industry. A lot of people say like whatever age you blow up, and I'm talking like blow up, whatever age you blow up at, and money is no longer an issue, that's the age you're gonna stay for the rest of your life. So if you blow up when you're like 12, you're gonna be 12 years old mentally for the rest of your life.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So, now I'm 26. I'd rather be 26 for the rest of my life than 21. Or maybe I'll regret that in a couple years and I'll be like, I'd rather be 30 for the rest of my life, you know? Of
Yeah. That's interesting though. Thanks for sharing that.
course. Of course.
What's been the high?
Ooh. Ooh. There's been a lot of highs, honestly. There's been a lot more highs. Um, it's probably performing. Performing is really cool. It's crazy. It's like probably the craziest adrenaline rush.
Come on,
Um,
Drake, spit it out.
but you have to learn how to control the adrenaline for singing because adrenaline like boosts your heart rate, makes you like breathe a lot more, which is just not good for singing because you have to have like breath control. But yeah, one of the highs, actually two highs, probably it's got to be the travel that I've done for music. Like I've gone to some pretty cool places. I've gone to Ghana, I've gone to Nigeria, Lagos. I've done two European tours. I think the European tours are probably the highs. I had a show in Paris on my first tour, and then on this last one, I had a show in Hamburg that was crazy. And just the love that you get out there is wild. Like nothing you'll get in North America, just because I don't know, people in North America, they just want to be cool. Whereas here, like they actually just enjoy music. Like in Germany, they actually just go out to enjoy music. So you get like a crazy response there as an artist, and it's amazing.
Wow. Do you think performing in front of that many people has helped calm your nerves when a big game is coming up?
Um, I've always been pretty good with pressure. Um, when it comes to volleyball, I think just having the music thing, uh, helps though. Like having the fact that this is not my livelihood. Like having that, it actually kind of helps with the pressure. Uh, that's also something that Spra kind of started saying, like your whole identity can't be if you lose this game, it can't be crushed. Your whole identity can't be volleyball. Like you have to have an identity outside of it. which I do have. I think it's just having another layer to my who I am as a person, my identity of myself.
Hmm. I guess because music or performing in music, it's almost, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's almost all in your control, right? Like the lights, the sound, the songs, whereas volleyball is a lot out of your control. So I guess it's actually not that similar.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of people. I'm first off, I should say I'm a complete control freak when it comes to when it comes to me performing. Like sometimes I'm like engineering myself on stage just because I can't have someone mess that up, you know? Like I need it to sound perfect. So yeah, it is different in that aspect. Like there's you can control every single thing. Sometimes your voice is fighting with you or you're fighting with your voice. But yeah, it's all kind of in your control. Very different, I guess, from volleyball because like sometimes nothing's in your control. You can read the whole game plan. You can make your own game plan on top of the game plan. You can watch every single game they've ever played and they do something different.
Like yesterday?
Yeah. Yeah, like yesterday.
That's funny. Well, okay, I want to ask you the question that you asked me the other day. You asked me if I thought the best blockers were feel blockers or analytical blockers. Have you thought
Mm.
more about that?
I'm still trying to figure it out. I thought analytical for sure, and then I tried to do the analytical thing. I like this last game. I'm like, you know what? No excuses. I'm gonna do every single thing that can be done to see if it results in more blocks. Nope. I like ran into a brick wall with that one. I did like 8 hours of scouting and then one block in the game after having like five blocks in against Turquoise. Yeah, so I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't think I can base my thoughts off just one game because it is inherently random. But I don't know. I'm still gonna continue with my little experiment here of like doing 5 games of fully like I know every single thing every player wants to do in every moment. And I'm gonna do 5 games of just let me see how I feel. And I don't know. I think it's gonna be somewhere in the middle.
Hmm.
I think it's just what works for different blockers. Um, at the high level, that's only, I guess, this is all, I guess, just at like the highest level. Like for people coming up, I'd say it does you no harm to watch as much film and game plan as much as you can, especially as a middle. Like you have an impossible job. You have to block 4 people. You have to get to all 4 places. You got to know what they want to do. You got to know what they want to do when, in each situation. Setters moving forward, setters moving back. If they repeat, who likes to dump, if he likes to dump in certain situations, who's their go-to at the end of the set? Like yesterday, we learned who their go-to was at the end of the set. They went to him like 50 times. So
Hmm.
I'm saying like for younger people coming up, these are all things, especially as a middle blocker, you need to know because at our level and at the highest level in the world, there's less tendencies, but I think at the lower levels, you'll be able to like there's a lot more to be done with that information. Does that make
Yeah,
sense to you?
yeah, yeah. Well, I remember Ben Joe talking to us and saying that a game plan is only a starting position or a starting spot, and it's only worth 2 to 3 points a game, not a set. Because you're going to set up the way you plan, and they're going to make adjustments, and then you're going to make adjustments, and then we're going to make adjustments, and maybe in a super high pressure situation, they'll default to what they really, really want. And I think that's what we found at the beginning of the game yesterday. They were doing things that we hadn't seen on video, which was probably a tactical plan on their part to gain an advantage. But when the
Mhm.
game got close, that's when it fell into the pattern, right? And that's when we got our big blocks. So we got one, I think we got a block at the end of each set, a big
Yeah.
block to sway the momentum. So I think that's kind of the beauty of game planning is you have to be able to be flexible within that game plan and know when to use the game plan and when to use your instincts. I think that's a cool way to look at it.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
What's been the evolution of Kofi as a player from, let's say, club volleyball, then going into UCLA and now playing pro? Not necessarily skill wise, but just your confidence, your understanding of the game, um, all those intangible things. How did you view yourself as a player then and through all the stages to now?
Um, so when I started, I was terrible. Uh, and I was terrible for like the first 2 years. I started when I was 14. I was like garbage until I was 16. I had this great coach, um, who also was a vertical jump coach. So he was like very focused on us jumping, which really worked well for me. Um, so I guess by the time I was finishing 16U, I was jumping high, starting to hit harder. I was still very, very skinny. Um, Still could not block at all. Um, but I was figuring out my way on the attack. And then that continued to 18U. Now in 18U, I was playing back row too. I was also passing. So my, I guess, ball control for a middle was getting a lot, like really developed. Because when I started, I had none. 16U, still none. Um, and then going to UCLA, I think my game like got way more polished. Just like all the little things that, like not the big things, the things that I'm good at now, I was good at in 18U. Like attacking, hitting this, finding angles, seeing the block. Like that stuff I'm good at now. It's the bread and butter of my game, but I've been good at that since 18U. Um, I don't know. In At UCLA, I got a lot better hitting off the net. That's now a big part, I'd say, of my game, being a threat from 3 meters. Actually, in the game yesterday, I was watching, there was one commit that Jackson threw on me, and I'm at like 2.5 meters. So I'm like, yeah, this is good, you know. um, that came in at that point. Also, just still like more reps, more touches, uh, getting a bit more polished. And then I'd say I became better at blocking when I came back. Because I wasn't a great blocker before. I still don't consider myself a great blocker, but I think I'm definitely a block threat that attackers got to be, aware of when they're hitting, because I think that's just maturity. I think having the maturity, having the patience, and having like the mental rigidity to know what you're gonna do and don't like get caught like doing half things, like you're committing or you're fully reading. You know what I mean? I think that's come back recently. Sorry, I know I ramble.
No, that's cool. What would you say to yourself in those first couple years when you were really bad? I'm sure it wasn't easy wanting to be a volleyball player and not being able to perform.
Honestly, it was super easy. Like, my club team, we were the closest team I've ever seen. Uh it was basically just a bunch of kids from Scarborough, um that some of them played basketball before, none of them played volleyball before. And a coach that like knew way too much about what he's doing at that time. But he was kind of young too. Like he was 25 when we were in 18U. So he was really young when he started coaching us. Like he's 21, like he can fully relate to us. He built that culture so well. So it became something, even though I was terrible, like I had so much fun going to practice and so much fun going to his house after. Like I would longboard to his house and like ride my bike to his house to go watch film, just like his parents' house. He lived with his parents at the time, he's that young. Uh, I think just my coach making it such an enjoyable experience, and my teammates, like the type of team that we had was, it was like some of the best years of my life, even though I was terrible. But I think that I'm a big believer that if as a coach you make it enjoyable for your players, you're gonna get the most out of them. And I think that's fully just what happened there. So maybe that's something more that coaches can take away than players. But yeah, I just had so much fun even when I was terrible. So it really didn't matter that I was terrible. And then I just got good.
That's amazing. Because we talk about that quite a bit actually on the podcast. We have a big theme of just having fun. Kevin Tilley mentioned it, and everyone actually since I said that having fun has got to be a priority, honestly, at every stage in your career.
Yeah, because like we've all had coaches that make it very fun. You want to come to practice every day, and like you can't wait till you're warmed up and ready to go into something fun. And then we've all also had coaches that just suck the life out of the sport. And like it sucks. Like I hate practice. We've all had those coaches, and those coaches make it hard to stay in a positive mind, like a creative mind space, and like looking at ways to make your games better. It's just like, oh, I got to do this. Don't make it a chore. If it's a chore, you're not. No one looks at creative ways to get better at doing the dishes. You gotta like that'd be something you
That
you
is that's a quote and a half.
That's awesome. Well, can you speak to some other people besides your club coach kind of behind the scenes that you can attribute a lot of your success to? Like I know like for me like I can name 100 people that helped me get my degree and 200 people that helped me through my back surgery and 300 people who helped me get to where I am now in the volleyball world. Like can you doesn't obviously don't name a lot, but some that stick out in your mind that you're like, yeah, I would not be here without this person.
definitely my mom, you know, drove me to every single practice in the snow in her little Lexus. uh, definitely my parents. Um, I've gotten really, really lucky with coaches though. Like my coaches have been so much of the support team for me, even like in life. I, even when I'm not playing volleyball, spent 4 years not playing volleyball. My club head coach and my club assistant coach, huge parts of my life, just in everything. Um, Even at UCLA, it's John. So I've always just been super lucky with coaches.
I think that's amazing. I think that's cool. Because I like Ben, for instance, like he was the same for me. And I'm sure TSU too. I don't want to speak for you, but like he made you want to be a better person and you wanted to go to practice and you wanted to succeed. Like you did well on a test, you wanted to tell him because you know he cares so much. And I think that's a very underrated skill that many coaches don't have, or at least doesn't come naturally.
Well, yo, it's also like this might be in line with what you're saying. It's like my coaches were always people and are always people that I look up to in life, like not just in volleyball. Like I kind of want to be like this person. This is a positive role model. So like I'm gonna do my best to try to do, like what this person thinks is good, which is probably what's good for me. You know what I mean? So like it's always been like that for me with the coaches, like not just in volleyball, in life. Like Spra with the whole maturity thing and taking ownership. That's trying to do what the person you look up to has been, preaching, I guess, and doing. I don't know if that makes sense for you guys, but like
No, that
coaches.
For
was
sure.
for
I,
sure.
I think that's worth thinking about as a teammate as well, especially in a probably university context, because I think in university as a fourth, fifth year, the influence you have on the young guys is crazy. There's nothing in the world that they want to be more than just like you. And so you have the opportunity to lead them down a rabbit hole if you're not taking care of yourself and things outside of the gym, or you can be a huge inspiration, just as a coach might be as well.
Yeah, 100%.
And those are the best teammates, are the people that you just want to be like. And I think you can take bits and pieces of everyone on our team. Um, that's why there's multiple leaders. I think everyone's got their own area where they got a strength.
Yeah.
Um,
I also think like it's important to take things from your teammates. Like I'm not like saying like just copy their whole game, but like in my first year at UCLA, I had a fourth year senior named Mitch Stahl. I don't think he plays anymore, but he was on the U.S. national team for a bit. there's a bunch of things like I'd just always be asking him things about blocking, about attacking, like what do you do in this situation? And you learn a lot. And I'm doing the same thing here um, with Max. Like we have a vet middle on our team who's like, I don't know how old he is, but like he's been playing for so long. He knows what he's doing in every single situation. He's just like a seasoned vet. So, and he runs a lot of routes that I don't run, and he does a lot of stuff that I'd like to add to my game. So I'm always asking him stuff, even in the game. I'm like, yo, what do you see? Like, because he's always telling me things about each setter that he's seeing. So I think it's important to just take what you can from like everyone's a coach, everyone's a teacher. You just have to figure out what they can teach you.
It's another fantastic quote.
What do you think your strength is? What are you an expert in, volleyball wise or life wise?
Whoa, crazy, crazy question. I don't know if I call myself an expert in that many things volleyball wise. I think I'm a jump expert. Like I think I'm an expert in using like in jump mechanics. Like because if you see my straight up jump, like I can't just jump straight up from static like that high, but with momentum using like a full approach. And a lot of this is my coach that would teach us this every single practice and you know work on it with us. But I think I'm definitely that's where I'd say I'm an expert is using an approach to its full potential to get as high off the ground as you need to.
We actually get this question quite a bit with kids wanting to jump higher. And there's obviously a big genetic component, but it's no accident that you might be the highest jumper in the world. It sounds like from all the work you put in um, there in those club years. So, like, what do you think it's possible for people to improve their jump a significant amount? And what are some of the things they might do?
I think 100% it is possible for almost everyone to improve their jump. Um, a lot of people look at it like strength training and plyometrics, and yeah, that is a big part of it. But I think learning how to use the learning how to use all the levers in your body at the exact right time to jump is the biggest thing. So it's form. So like learning how to jump properly. Like most people don't know how to jump. Most people at the club level don't know how to jump. At the pro level, it is a bit better. But that's just because all the people that didn't know how to really jump kind of got weeded out. But like I couldn't jump like 20 inches when I started, and now I don't know, like 40 something. So like me also like like puberty had like a role in that, but and also strength training had a role in that, but it's also just mechanics. Like so much is mechanics. Like get a good jump coach, and I have a good jump coach if anyone needs uh who can teach you how to jump, because you probably have the muscle and you're just not getting everything out of the muscle. It's like arm swing. Like you could be the most jacked huge guy and not be able to hit the ball, or you could be, I don't know, like Skylar from the national team or Long Beach. You can just skinny guy just blast the ball.
Hmm. That's a really interesting point, actually, because yeah, the arm swing analogy is great. There's this maybe somewhat correlation between muscle mass and how hard you hit the ball, but a lot of it is the technique and the speed.
Yeah, for sure. Like I always like I don't miss with jump form. There's a big difference like mechanically between great and good. A little difference goes a long way when it comes to speed. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Um, I got a kind of a funny question. I'm wondering who's the most famous person you have in your contacts,
All my contacts.
or a famous most famous person you've spent time with or worked with.
Ooh, this is a crazy question. I'm trying to think. I guess like I have funny stories about like Drake, I guess. Um like he's from Toronto, he's from where I'm from. First time I met him, he was like, "Oh, I know you from volleyball." Like I guess he saw like the highlights on like House of Highlights or whatever. It was after my first year at UCLA. We were at this crazy party um downtown Toronto at Lavelle, which is like this is my first time like going out like kind of in like a club, and it's like Drake and LeBron co-hosting an event. So like I'm like backstage and like hanging out with all these people, and I was in an elevator with LeBron going up to Lavelle, which is like on the roof. So like long elevator ride. And he was just grilling me on like, oh, why didn't you go to Ohio State? And I'm like, what do you mean why didn't you go to Ohio State? He's like, are they good? And I'm like, yeah, they won the last 2 years. Like I couldn't even tell him that they were not good because they were great. So I don't know. But the thing about Drake is like he's down to talk all day about like sports and whatnot. Like, but when it comes to music, he does not talk. He does not want to talk about music. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Huh. Well, that's wild.
Yeah, I guess.
That's
That's
exactly what I was
absolutely
hoping for.
crazy.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was hoping for. Long elevator ride with LeBron James. That's cool.
That was a wild one. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. There probably is, but I don't know.
You've met Max Verstappen, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's another thing. Being signed to Red Bull, F1 is just like a realistic thing that you can just go to. So we went to me and one of my homies, we went to the one in Montreal, I think like last year. And yeah, we were just like chilling like in the back area, like where all the drivers are. And so met like every single driver. And then Red Bull, I think they changed the name of the team, but like back when it was AlphaTauri, uh, they had like two drivers. One of them was Yuki Tsunoda, so we had like lunch, and then he told me not to stand next to him because he's like I don't know 5 something. He's not that tall. But yeah, and then had dinner with like a bunch of drivers. Like it's one thing about being signed to Red Bull, you get some F1 perks.
Wow, that's cool. All right, probably last question here. What would be some advice you'd give to your younger self, volleyball wise or music wise or life wise,
Hmm.
knowing what you know now?
Hmm. I'd say this is crazy. This is a crazy question because I don't know if I would have actually, if I could go back, I don't know if I actually would have done much different. I think like all the mistakes that I did make, like were necessary mistakes, like necessary character development. I think I would tell myself to just enjoy all the processes and like enjoy everything that you do because I do live like a very enjoyable life. So just to like remind him that from day one, that like you're privileged to do things that people wish that they could do. So like don't take it for granted and enjoy it even when they suck. Maybe that's what I would say.
That's a really, really good perspective. Enjoy the trials and tribulations because it's almost always worth it.
Yeah, 100%.
That's awesome. Well, thanks a lot for coming on, man. Thanks for being super open and honest and sharing what it takes
Of course, of
to reach two dreams. And we really appreciate your time.
course. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys.
Alrighty. I think that wraps up episode number 22 of the Pitch Pro podcast. Thanks everyone for listening. Signing off.